as a concerned citizen, as a mom, because I see that the number of single mothers is rising exponentially in the country. And Enoch, I'm also happy to have you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, before we delve into our conversation, Enoch, I would like for you to give us an overview of what Imagine You and imagining the future, the single motherhood situation in the country is. What is this all about and what inspired this project?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Olive. My name is Segera Enoch. I'm working with Gulu University together with the Danish Danida, that is the Danish government. They came up with this program, Imagining Gender Futures in Uganda, which is tackling a lot of issues, social life in Uganda. This particular project now we are handling right now is about single mothers and bride wealth, which is challenging. When it comes to single mothers, there are things that we can avoid that leads to single motherhood, but we've been always looking at them as if they are not existing. That's why the professors of Denmark, Copenhagen University, Oath University, together with Gulu University, they came up with this research about single mothers, and we did this research from Butaleja, that's Eastern Uganda. And the other research is about bride price in Karamoja, how they pay bride wealth. So when we talk about single mothers, like you've said, if the research shows that it has increased by 10%, it is true. Single mothers are so many. That's why the professors came up 5 years ago to start doing the research about the single mothers, and that's the video you've just seen is what we found in the villages down there. Okay. And some of, because the videos, we have some women from the villages and some from within Kampala and some towns in Uganda.
Okay. Now, Mr. Segera, from your research as Danida, what have you seen as the main factors that are linked to the rising cases of single motherhood in the country?
There are so many. There are so many. But
let's start with the rural women.
The rural women are, in most cases, early childbirth. Giving birth when you're not ready, when you've not planned. Like if you've given birth, you're not ready to settle together, it has always not ended well. That's why you find that most cases, these girls are giving testimonies. I gave birth, I was at school, my husband ran away from me, but the boy who impregnated me ran away from me. My parents were not there to guide me, things like that. So it is in our communities that these people are not guided in the initial stages before giving birth. And also poverty in rural areas. So many men are saying, I can't handle the burden of providing for the children. So they started to run away. Alcohol in the villages, there are so many. There's so many issues. That's why we came up now, we have a program to move into schools. We talk to these children, especially to avoid having kids at a tender age. Okay. Yes.
All right. So if you're just joining us, we are looking at imagining Uganda's futures in imagining gender futures in Uganda. Case in point, the rising cases of single motherhood. Now you can join the conversation through WhatsApp number 0709602592. You can send a direct message still through the same number, and you can also call to give your opinion in the same manner. Now, looking at at statistics, it has been shown that the rise of single motherhood has gone from 20% to 30%. This is according to Uganda Bureau of Statistics. And I also saw something interesting. Research by Makerere University, supported by AfriChild, compiled by Mama Tendo Foundation, showed that 5% of men provide for their children and connect with them emotionally, and 40% of men have fathered a child and have abandoned them. 10% of fathers in Uganda have fathered a child but are not even aware, and 45% are fathers who look after their children but do not connect emotionally with them. Now, looking at these numbers, 5% of men provide and connect for their children, connect with their children emotionally. Now, 40%, I'm interested in the 40% of men that have fathered a child and have abandoned them. And then the 10% of fathers that have also fathered a child but don't even know that they have a child. This is where you come in, Dr. Bosa, Mr. Sam Bagenda.
That's okay.
It works hand in hand.
It works hand in hand.
Yes. When you look at these numbers, as a father yourself and as a man, what would you say is the reason the 40% of men that do not take care of their children are giving?
It's very unfortunate with the statistics that are going on. But you realize that one, it is this generation. But the generation before, I think the statistics wouldn't have been that. But in this generation now, there is, first of all, a lot of negligence. So many factors. First of all, as he mentioned, the poverty. There's a lot of poverty. Now, careless people will go in for that, and then the man will realize that now I can't take this responsibility at all. I won't be like so. But
so they were going for a good time.
They were going for a good time, but then wouldn't like to go in for the consequences and so on.
Okay,
that is one thing. Then, of course, there's basically, this is in the rural areas. There is lack of education. Yes, proper education. Our girls. I mean, they only take the boys. I mean, the boys are catered for. The girls are not really catered for well for education. And then because of naiveness and so on, the girl would easily be lured into good time, and then abandoned completely. Yes. So that is also another factor. Then there is also a culture issue, a culture issue, whereby a man is, I mean, in some cultures, you have to have about 3, 4, 5 women.
And it doesn't matter if you can or cannot afford them.
Yes, it does not exactly well brought out. So, and that also contributes to that kind of percentage. And of late, one of the biggest issues we have now is there is that how would I bring it? Apart from the financial issue also, there's I mean that love for the good time for a short time.
Okay, like short-term gratification.
Exactly. And then let me make a one-off and so on, and then and that is what was in your mind. But the one-off yields
something different.
And then you are not ready to move on.
Okay.
To that. So that is also another factor that brings builds that percentage of women. So
there is also a question on because when we talk about single motherhood, many people, and Enoch here, due to the research you've carried out as Danida, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but many people are of the view that it stops on the money. Okay, you provide for the family. So there are men that are of the mindset that I send the school fees, I give you upkeep, okay? But then there is the other aspect to raising children. Is it just the money? Because you have sent the money, then you're not committed to emotionally connecting to these children. Because according to this research by Makerere University, 45% of fathers are giving in some help financially, but they're not emotionally connected to the children. Now, when you go back to the women in rural areas with, and even urban centers that are raising children alone, is the lack of emotional connection by fathers to the children, between fathers and children, is it also affecting how these children grow up?
Definitely. But to a little go on the research,
yes,
our society is patrilineal. Meaning that our descendants, we believe we come from men.
That's true.
Yes.
Well,
our inheritance is from men.
Yes.
From man. So when you talk about money, it becomes a little limited to a life of a person. Because we've seen examples of people who have grown up and they have money, but they still look for their fathers.
They were not raised.
Yes, they still look for their fathers. They say, I have my wife, I have my children, but I want to know where I belong. So we come back to that center of life.
So why is it important for a child to know their father? Let's say I am a child raised by my mom. She gave me everything money could buy.
Yes.
Why is it important for me to know my dad, even if he didn't take care of me?
Now that goes back to what I was saying. Being a patrilineal society, we know at the end of the day, even if I die, I will be taken back to my father's home.
I could buy my land.
It is there. But those are the few. Those are the few. That's where the debate comes in from. But because we've grown up like that, and it's not changing very soon, because now we are talking about how me I was shown my father, that's your land. When my father dies, I will inherit some land from him. So it has come up like it is now the culture, mostly in Uganda. Now, if we just like look on, are we ready to change to the new life of having me buying my land and separating from my ancestral parents? Are we changing to that? Because if we don't now discuss that point, that means we don't know where we are and we don't know where we are going. Would
it be so bad if people decided to follow that route?
It wouldn't be bad, but it would be so good if we know it. Okay. Rather than people doing it, you're doing it, but some people are going to say you're doing it in the wrong way.
Okay, Dr. Bosa, you have something
I just wanted to add on that it's very, very important because, you know, it is nice to have that sense of belonging, to know your lineage. You see people proudly talking about their lineages and so on and so forth.
The Muzukulu,
Wagondi, and so on and so forth. There is a time when when you grow and you have got more responsibilities and you are going to take on an office whereby you need to bring out this lineage. I mean, sometimes I usually say, there are some people who say, I want to marry. I mean, now this is on, I won't get married, I won't get married, I won't get married. But then there are some positions, there are some offices whereby you would want to be, I mean, you want to be elected in that office, and
not it's being married.
You need to be married to be. So if you are, so it is, when you have that sense of belonging, when you know your lineage, when you know your ancestors and so on. There's especially a boy, especially to a boy, because I also had a single mother who told me, you know, me, I really gave up with that, the father of my kids and so on. What I've done, I've bought some land for my children, and we are going to get buried here. But she had a problem because she had 3 girls and 1 boy, and now the problem was like, the problem is this boy. I mean, he needs really to know his ancestors and so on. So this one, I need to actually ask him to go back to to his grandfathers, and but for the girls, it is okay. It is okay. She's comfortable with that. So what I'm trying to say is, it's very, very important. It's very, it's very important to know
where you come
where you're coming from, and so on. So those people who are who say that okay,
I'll buy my land.
I'll buy my land and so on and so forth. Still, you'll find that somehow, somewhere, you need to connect these children to their ancestral backgrounds.
Well, you can join the conversation through WhatsApp number 0709602592. Now, if you're to make a call, please do not WhatsApp call. You can call directly. We'll be able to receive your call and hear your views. Or if you have any questions to the gentleman here, you can also send them through. They will answer those. Now, coming back to you, Enoch, there is a rising need or urgency for sex education for the youth in schools, in home, because our traditions normally shy away from sex education. But from my understanding, sex education is not basically teaching children how to engage in the act, but also understanding the consequences and the dynamics surrounding sex. So do you think that the lack of sex education for the youth or among the youth is also contributing to the rising numbers of single mothers? Definitely,
I agree 100%. Because if we teach the young teens about sex at the early age, I think they will understand. That's why that is one of the things that the West has left us, like they do it on a daily.
How exactly do they do it? Because I believe right now there is a parent who is saying, are they telling our children to, you know,
no,
are they teaching
at
them?
the end of the day, they will have to know it.
But what exactly is age appropriate for different children?
I think from 10.
Okay.
I think from 10.
And what are we telling them at 10?
What we are telling them is, it is true. You'll have a day to do this. And when you do this, this is what is most likely to happen. So you have to be aware of, if this happens, that means you have this, and this. So we have to avoid certain things. So when we are teaching them, instead of hiding it from them to discover it by themselves, by doing it wrongly, it is better we tell them they know. Like, because there are parents who have already said, I'm free with my kids. And if you're free with your kid, I think in most cases, that kid will be free to tell you everything. And there will be chance for you to advise. Rather than you keeping quiet, hiding it from your child, at the end of the day, the child will discover it in a wrong position. And will do it, and you will end up like regretting something that you would have done before the act.
I think in addition to what Mr. Seger is saying, I think we need to prepare them. You prepare them with a small dose. You don't have to go all the way, but you keep limiting as the age as the child is aging and so on and so. So you give a certain dose according to the age. And unfortunately, this .com era, the IQ of our children is a little bit higher.
Yeah, true.
So there is need to start doing it at an early stage, so that they don't fall into this kind of thing. However, I should also mention this. Some of this single motherhood issue is just created, it's just created by it might not be just the factors of poverty and so on and so forth.
Okay.
But somebody comes with this thing that, look, me, I don't want marriage. In fact, it's very important also for the marriage counselors to give proper counseling to people who are being set, especially the subject of marriage, because the mentality now in many of these .com people, the .com in the urban areas, .com ladies, it is like, I don't want marriage. They have told me a lot of nasty things about marriage and so on and so forth. All I want is to get a friend of mine, a good breed, where I can get a good breed, get a child, forget him, and then me, I continue with life with my child. But then that also takes us back to that this child needs to have a lineage, needs to have that sense of belonging in life. So that is also another issue we have.
Okay, Mr. Sam Bagenda, that's an issue, I agree, but as a woman that I have also had conversations with single moms here and there, that percentage is there, but it is not as big as the young women that find themselves
here. Yeah, true.
Yes, pregnant and then raising children alone, and of course the women that probably were once married and then the marriage didn't work out, and then when they separated, they now stayed with the responsibility of taking care of these children on their own. But now this is opening also another conversation, because I believe the ladies watching right now will say that, Olive, you didn't do us justice if you didn't ask this question. I have two gentlemen here with me, and I'll start with you, Dr. Busa. Mr. Sam Bagenda. Well, you told me they work hand in hand.
They work hand in hand.
And Enoch,
yes.
When are we, or as Imagine You project, are you holding the men accountable for the fact that they are siring these children? It doesn't matter if you just wanted to have fun, but here, the facts of the matter right now are you have sired these children. So are you in this project trying to bring men onto the table and trying to have them have this conversation that it doesn't matter how the child came forward, what matters is that the child is here and they need a mom and a dad? I'll start with you, Mr. Bagenda.
Yeah, that is a very good question. I mean, that is very, very important. And as Imagine Gender Future in Uganda, one thing is, which is not a one-sided thing. Yes, the ladies fall into this trap, and we've talked about the factors, poverty, and so on and so forth. But men, you can't shun away from this. You can't run away from this. As we've also said, these children need a sense of belonging. They need to know the lineage. How do they call it in Uganda? Ensibuko, n'okulanya, okulanya. So that you feel you're a man and that sense of belonging is within you. So men, it is very, very important. Yes, you might ignore, you might be so selfish, and look at that, look, I can't manage to take this responsibility and so on. But there's this child in the picture who also needs to have a sense of belonging, who also needs to have that love for parents, a mother and father together. So men out there, please, yes, I think the biggest percentage, actually, I should say, I should actually hit these men.
Yes.
That the biggest percentage, the cause is us men. You want good time, then afterwards you say, I can't manage. That's when you realize, during good time, during having nice time, you don't even think about the consequences of
the good time.
Yes, the after, the post experience.
Yes.
You don't think about it at all, and then afterwards, you make this innocent soul suffer. You make it lose its integrity. You make it lose its sense of belonging. You affect it a lot. You're not only affecting actually the mother. There are some people who do it intentionally just to
hurt the mother,
to pay back or something
yes.
like that. But they should know that there is this innocent soul in the picture that should be catered for.
And that's right. When the elephants fight, the grass suffers.
Exactly.
And in this instance, the grass are the children.
Yes.
But now, Enoch, as Imagine You, when you're working with single moms, in your sensitization and education, are men invited to maybe the seminars, the projects that you have, so that they know how dire it is for a child not to have both parents?
Yeah, so much. We would like to have them on board, but I would like to support our doctor for what he said. Men in our society is telling us that we are the head of our families.
Yes.
So the head means that whatever you do, you have to look after, you have to lead the society. So there's no question mark, and I wouldn't give you any percentage of leaving your child without support, because that's your duty. Whatever you do, just know that the child that you've brought on earth belongs to you. So you have to do whatever, like you have to fight. I'm not going to put it on poverty, because we've met men who are poor,
but are doing the best.
They are doing the best.
Yes.
And we've met men who are rich and they are not doing anything for their children.
No excuse.
So there's no excuse. Not poverty, not education, not anything. Because our grand-grandy didn't go to school. But they raised our grand-grandfathers. Yes. And we are here.
And we are here.
Yes. So I would like to urge all the men, including myself, that please, let us come together. For this, like the single mothers, we cannot fight it, I know, because of so many
other
factors that lead us to single motherhood. But at least we can do to limit the raising number. Because if we are moving within a few years, we are 10% above, then it is.
Then it's quite high.
Yes.
What would you say? Because there are also cases of men that are interested in being in the lives of their children despite the relationship having ended. But maybe going back to the factors that have caused the rising number, one of them being poverty, maybe this man doesn't have money, but he's interested in being in the life of the child. And then the mom is like, unless you can pay school fees, you cannot have access to my child. So to those moms, what would you say to them regarding the importance of a father?
In most cases, the ladies that me personally have approached with that mentality, they feel, when the moment a lady says that, just know that lady is chasing away from the child. When the lady says that if you don't have this, please don't come.
Why is she doing that?
It's another way of telling that person that you're not in my league. You're not in my class.
But then there is a child.
Yes, there is a child. In most cases, those people come, the children find out themselves when they grow up. They start demanding their mothers. Despite you've raised me, you've paid my school fees in the high schools, like you've done everything for me, but I need my father.
So basically what you're saying is that being poor or being broke does not mean that a man is not worthy being called a father.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Well, whether a man is poor or rich, is the father.
Okay.
In fact, Oliver, I think just as we've been hitting the men, also the women, what we need to know, we go back to what you were saying, that when the elephants fight,
yes,
the grass suffers. Now, still, if it is on the women, that mentality, she should know that at the same time she's affecting this child. Yes, we all need that sense of belonging. It's very, very important in life. A child needs that sense of belonging. It does not matter what problems we have as elders, but let us look at this child and see that we give her the best we can. Yes.
Okay. So I have a few views coming through, and Charlotte here says this conversation has made me teary. I think she is a single mom, and I should say for many ladies that are walking this journey, it's really lonely and it's not easy. It has many challenges. Sometimes it's not even money. Sometimes it is the whole idea of, you know, if you have children, gentlemen, you know how mommy, they're always calling you. But when there is dad, you can say, go to your father. So sometimes it's not just about money. It's the fact that you have the emotional part of it. You have the financial. Everything is on you. It becomes too lonely. So as we wind, gentlemen, how can families come together to help these women that are raising children on their own? It can be in terms of emotional support, financial support, but how can they do it so that these moms know that they are not alone?
Yeah, that's a very good one. Actually, we found out that in most families, when the father is not there, it has always been the grandmother or grandfather or sister to the man that have always come up to help, to solve the problem of keeping the lineage. Yes. So these families, whenever a family understands that maybe our son got a child somewhere, these families are always supportive. And they are at least helping somehow. Always? Yes. Somehow they're like, whenever you approach a family that, please, your son impregnated my daughter, please, this is yours. In fact, in most cases, they are the ones that are naming these kids.
Grandmothers are the ones receiving.
Most giving that. They are ones that are naming the kids, that are showing them that this is your home. They are so welcoming in most cases, that in most families that have visited.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Segea. Mr. Bagenda, as we close.
Still, yes, as the families, but still, a father figure is very, very important.
Even if it's not the actual father.
Even if it's not the father. So I've had instances whereby one single mother told me that, oh, I have a problem. Whenever I go to my daughter's school, she keeps on asking me, but mommy, all these other children, they come, their mother and father, when they're talking about, they're discussing in school, daddy did this, mommy, I can never say daddy did this. I don't have a daddy, and so on. It is really affecting our children. So I just want to call out there, fathers, people who have gone in for good time and so on, and then there are issues come about. No, let us take responsibility. Let us take responsibility, fathers, do everything possible. As he said, that those men there back in the days, our grandfathers, they made everything possible to make sure that they look after our grandfathers. And also, I think it is also important, on that other side, I want to balance the equation. Also women. I mean, let us also think about the children. I think if we all focus about this child we have brought, I think the mindset of these people will actually change. That is what we
thank you
think.
so much.
And also, marriage counselors, let them do something about, I mean, let them have more talks about marriage and getting together. Because what we're having, there's no one talking about the good, the fruits
good,
of marriage and so on and so forth. Everyone just listens. Hey, Bufumbo is a problem.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Bagenda. This conversation is getting heated, but time is of the essence. We've run out of time in a second.
Yeah, just it's just a reminder that in February we shall be visiting schools, secondary schools, in the eastern Uganda and the northern Uganda, Butaleja, Bugwe side. So please, when we come to you, give us your ear so that you have to learn about this. Because if we don't do it now, then we don't have time.
The future is doomed.
Yes,
thank you
yes.
so much, Mr. Segeya Enoch and Mr. Sam Bagenda, aka Dr. Bossa. If you didn't watch That's Life Mwato Bibao, I don't know what you are doing. But anyway, I've been speaking to these gentlemen about imagining gender futures in Uganda, and case in point was the rising cases of single motherhood in the country. According to you, boss, this has gone from 20% in 2022 to 30% in 2024. This is rather sad. And so how do we curb the growth of this, the conversation we're having? Now, we are going to leave you with the continuation of the documentary that we were running before, still about the same thing, the rising cases of single motherhood, but now we will be listening to a child's father. Stay tuned.
Father, she doesn't own land that she will give them to build and marry from there. So she says if time comes and they have to go to build, they will have to go back to their homes and find land and build there. Maybe if God blesses her and she buys land for them, then maybe she will give them. But right now she can't afford that, so they will have to look for their fathers and then build in future. And her last words to girls, young girls who might be watching, and young women who might be watching, is that they should have patience and not run up and down. Kali, webali.
Future, when she's big, she's an adult, she will look for them. And of course, she can't forget them. She knows them.
She will look for them. Will they also look for her?
I don't know. I don't know. It will depend on who wants to meet who. The name is already there. They will identify her.
In Africa, a child belongs to a man. And I was just wondering whether at a certain point, will you allow your daughter to go and stay with the father, or be there for some time, then comes back? I'm just wondering, because here our culture tells us a child is for a man.
My daughter knows her siblings, the ones that her father has with his current wife. She knows all of them. She has carried them. She has played with them. But right now, it is quite difficult because of the relationship I have with him. And I even don't know where he stays. By then I knew, but he moved. When the mother passed on, he moved.
Okay. But still, do you agree?
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.